Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Look, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by the sheer everyday chaos of browsing the internet, well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're undertaking a really fascinating investigation into the hidden financial systems running the modern web. We're going to be breaking down a brilliantly honest piece of source material titled The Casino of Attention, the AdTech Monopoly and Decay. Our goal today? We're peeling back the complicated layers of the unseen advertising technology, or AdTech machine, to understand exactly how our attention has been fully hijacked.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to just stop and think for a second about the last time you tried to read a simple news article online or, look up a quick recipe. You were probably instantly frustrated by a terrible overloaded webpage, right? The screen jumps around, random things pop up out of nowhere, and you can barely find the actual text you came for. So why does the modern internet feel so overwhelmingly cluttered and frankly just completely broken? Well, it's not an accident. It's actually a very deliberate design choice driven by a massive background economy. And this is the visceral damage we deal with literally every single day. Pages have just become completely overloaded. You've got banners everywhere, pop-ups, invisible trackers following you, cookie walls demanding your data before you can read a single word, autoplay videos that just start screaming at you on full volume, consent spam, lazy loading garbage that shifts the text right as you're in the middle of a sentence, and of course that infinite scroll of recommended content sludge at the bottom of the page. This visual and mental mess, it's the direct result of the unseen AdTech machine operating right behind the scenes. To really understand how we ended up here, we have to look at this absolute core thesis from our source material. Listen to this. The user became the product, the page became inventory, and the content became bait. That sentence perfectly summarizes exactly how human attention was completely financialized. AdTech didn't actually improve the internet, far from it. Instead, the words and videos you actually want to see are merely the bait. They're just there to capture you because you are the product, so that your attention can be packaged and sold on a digital shelf. Section 1. The broken advertising machine. Let's unpack the systemic cause.
To understand the systemic cause, we really need to pull back the curtain on programmatic advertising. We need to see what's actually happening in the literal milliseconds before a web page finally loads. The defining feature of this entire system is financialized attention. As the source material describes it, the web has been turned into a giant, frantic casino. In the split second it takes you to click a link, that single-page view is chopped up, thrown into an automated auction, tracked, resold, measured, and then remeasured again. The system prioritizes this high-frequency, Wall Street-style trading over any actual value being created for you, the reader, or for the publisher. And because it operates exactly like a casino, it doesn't reward high-quality journalism or genuinely helpful information. Instead, programmatic advertising actively rewards volume, arbitrage, cheap traffic, SEO spam, endless outrage, and these entirely fake made-for-advertising pages. And hey, this isn't just some fringe internet conspiracy theory. Even massive industry reports from tech giants like Amazon Web Services openly admit that ad fraud, made-for-advertising sites, and huge issues with campaign measurement remain major ongoing concerns. True quality is rarely rewarded. The system just rewards the hustle.
So, to keep this deeply broken machine running, the industry relies on selling a very specific, very profitable illusion. They sell these beautifully polished, incredibly complex dashboards as the absolute, undeniable truth to advertisers. But the messy underlying reality, most of the attribution on those fancy dashboards is actually just modeling, educated guessing, platform self-reporting, or just mere correlation dressed up as hard data science. It is honestly incredibly exhausting when you realize just how many polished acronyms are invented solely to cover up a system that is, frankly, mostly just guessing. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive gap between what the industry promises and what it actually does. The source material puts it perfectly. Real-time actionability often means we can move money faster inside a broken machine. The so-called optimization in this space is often just a total illusion. They aren't making the ads better for you to look at, and they aren't even necessarily making them perform better for the business buying them. They've just brilliantly engineered a way to extract and move the cash at lightning speed.
Section 2. The Google monopoly problem. Let's look at the controlling structure. So, who exactly is running the casino? Let's move to and see how this builds. Because Google isn't just another participant playing the game. They own the publisher ad server, they own the exchange where the auctions actually happen, they own the demand tools that advertisers use to buy the space, they own the browser you likely use to surf the web, the analytics, search, YouTube, Android, the whole shebang. It really demonstrates the almost inescapable nature of Google's reach across the entire supply chain. They effectively represent the buyer, the seller, and the auction house, all at the exact same time.
Naturally, this incredible level of control has drawn some severe legal scrutiny worldwide. As detailed in our sources, in 2025, a U.S. court held that Google violated antitrust law by monopolizing open web ad tech markets, specifically including those publisher ad servers and ad exchanges we just talked about. The U.S. Department of Justice stated the court found Google actually harmed publishers, competition, and everyday consumers. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, European Union regulators reached remarkably similar conclusions, specifically citing ad tech abuse and deep conflicts of interest within the ad supply chain. To put a very real, very tangible number on the scale of those EU findings, The Verge reported that the European Union fined Google 2.95 billion euros in 2025. Yeah, 2.95 billion. That massive figure serves as a stark, objective wake-up call regarding the sheer unprecedented scale of the antitrust issues and supply chain conflicts we're talking about here. While independent publishers desperately needed ad revenue just to survive, the ad stack was taking the fees, strictly controlling access, and basically calling it innovation. Section 3. The illusion of privacy. Time to look at the complex shell game. Because, eventually consumers did start pushing back against this unrestricted tracking. But how did the ad tech industry respond? Well, through a relentless, almost comical mutation of buzzwords. Decades ago, it was just unrestricted data grabs. Then, as heat picked up, it was rapidly rebranded as consent and clean rooms. And
And today, now we have the privacy sandbox and, of course, the ever-popular AI modeling. The acronyms constantly change, but the ultimate goal, monitoring your attention to sell it, remains exactly the same. Now, this clever rebranding effort hasn't gone entirely unnoticed. For example, Google's privacy sandbox and the whole saga around removing third-party cookies became a massive multi-year mess that was heavily scrutinized by the UK's Competition and Markets Authority, or the CMA. Why? Because regulators have a very real, very valid fear that these supposed privacy moves, like finally killing third-party cookies, might actually just consolidate even more power and control directly into Chrome and Google-controlled systems, all under the convenient guise of protecting users. Section 4. Spreadsheets over user experience. Let's break down the underlying logic. Let's look at the ultimate underlying logic driving this entire broken web experience. It comes down to the venture capital, banker, and private equity playbook, which is actually remarkably simple. Step 1, add more layers, extract more fees, and invent new acronyms for the ad tech stack. Step 2, add a shiny new dashboard and just slap the word AI on it to make it sound incredibly cutting edge. And step 3, sell the company or raise its valuation. Did you notice what is entirely missing from these steps? Yeah, actually making the internet better or more useful for the person using it. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing who actually pays the very real price for that financial playbook. Basically, everyone loses. The user experience, completely irrelevant to the machine. The survival of the publisher, who is actually writing the content you want to read, entirely secondary. And get this, even the advertiser's actual business outcome, like whether they actually sold a product or not, often becomes totally secondary to the sheer volume of metrics. The entire web ecosystem just becomes collateral damage in the name of extracting middleman fees. So the crucial point is this: the real product is the spreadsheet story, the articles you read, the videos you watch, the banner ads themselves. None of it actually matters to the financial machine. The system is incredibly bloated, it's adversarial, it's riddled with fraud and endless middlemen. But as long as it can output a nice looking spreadsheet that shows optimization and arrows pointing up, the casino stays open and the money just keeps moving. I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful verdict taken directly from our source text. Instead of building a healthy, functional internet, the industry, quote, built a surveillance auction machine and called it innovation. That right there is the massive, undeniable gap between the ad tech industry's pristine public relations campaigns and the genuinely grim reality of the web we have to navigate every single day. Which really brings us to the absolute most important question we can ask, and the perfect place to wrap up our explainer today. If all of this clutter, all of this tracking is really just a giant surveillance auction machine, what would a healthier internet actually look like? How do we go about building a web that genuinely rewards quality instead of just endless arbitrage? I really want you to keep that question in mind the very next time you have to close 3 separate pop-ups just to read a single recipe. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep learning.